Okay, welcome to another Formula Juan podcast
Hello, everybody.
with with the titular Juan himself.
Howdy.
Yeah, and then me, Carlos, the brother.
Very
Uh,
nice.
yes,
And as you can see, this week's a little different. I do have a haircut. I've got in my haircut. Lost
yes,
lost my one what is it called? What's it called? My most attractive asset.
yeah.
uh,
I got three attractive assets: a beard, uh, a hair, well, not hair, the hair, and the accent.
the
So
accent. Oh yeah, I guess
yeah,
I still have the accent kind of.
you can call me a triple threat.
A triple threat, yeah. Well, you also have more muscles than I do,
More
which
fit.
is yeah, which is probably good. But in any case, Azerbaijan, good. Well, no, I was gonna say good race, but then I was like, no, it wasn't that good of a race. It was like it wasn't
It
that
was
bad,
kind of boring.
but yeah, I mean, I put it like in the same range as like Spain, where like the excitement was like sucked out, and like it was just kind of like watching um well, not just like watching cars go around, but like the leaders weren't like really fighting for anything. The podium wasn't, and then only like a few passes here and there from like interesting people, but it was far too few.
Yeah, and it's surprising because like Baku is like it's a really good track, you know?
Yeah.
Like I
Oh
feel
yeah.
like that's one track in Formula One that shouldn't go away. Like that track
Yeah,
is a
no.
lot of fun and it's really well balanced. It's really tricky as to like, do you want to do like more downforce or do you want to gain more time on the big ass straight? Um,
Hmm.
so I think I don't know, it's always very challenging, and for some reason there's always like accidents there. I think it's because it tends to be a street circuit. But yeah, this year just was.
Yeah, no, it's a challenging circuit for like a variety of reasons, but like we were talking about it last week, you always have to, in order for you to go faster, you always have to take more risk and essentially drive more on the limit. And when you do that, you're more bound to like get more incidents. But I don't know, for some reason this year, well, I guess the two incidents that happens were the two Ferraris, and like they both got out of the way quickly. And I don't think there were like any other significant crashes aside from that. I think people were, I don't know if far apart from each other or something, but everybody was driving too comfortable, and there was really no reason for everybody to push that much, in my opinion, except for the midfield. But like the top five, six, maybe Hamilton trying to get ahead, that was like as good as he got. But yeah, unfortunately, nobody was pushing enough so there was enough risk to take to make the race more exciting, in my opinion. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there weren't that many accidents or anything like that. Um, and it does seem like everybody was driving quite comfortably. Nobody was
Yeah.
like pushed like crazy.
Yeah, no, only Hamilton, but only when he had to. Otherwise, he was just going on his pace. And like the passes, like I was looking back at some of them, and they were just vanilla. He just got past you. They were like, no, we can fight you, and you're just gonna pass us, and they just let him go. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, like they knew it was gonna happen. They didn't fight him too much. So yeah, I mean, what's there to do? I thought it was gonna be more exciting. I really, because I mean Baku always lives up to expectations, and I thought it would be like a very interesting strategy wise what the Ferraris did versus the Red Bulls, and we almost got that. In a sense, we almost really got that because it was like the incident happened with Carlos, and immediately they pitted Leclerc, and it felt like finally, like they reacted quickly. There's a difference, and they executed that really well. And Leclerc really had a chance to win the race because he was in a different strategy. You can't beat the Red Bulls at their own game, like with like the same tires. They were obviously faster, so they needed to try something, and they tried it at the right moment. The Red Bulls couldn't even respond. It was gonna be an exciting race, and then it just at lap 20, and like it blew out, and then like all right, like all that excitement built up to nothing. Leclerc doesn't finish. Of course, Verstappen wins the race, and Checo's just second. So there's a lot to talk about there, but that was my synopsis of the race. There, it just turned out not to be the most like explosive race at the end.
Yeah. So I'll go through the topics. We'll just dive right into them. Let's talk about the Ferrari failure in their cars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so obviously, I mean,
Coming.
if anybody watched the race, go ahead.
Oh no, coming back to Hunton. You know, at the beginning it was like all about reliability for like the Red Bulls, and they were saying like, well, we're sacrificing a little bit of reliability to go faster. And now it seems like the Red Bull haven't really have any issues. They seem to be doing fine, and now it's Ferrari that's like a struggle well, not 2 races in a row, 2 times in the last 3 races. And it's really, I don't know. Well, it was interesting that like a lot of the failures of the weekend, a lot of the cars that have gone out have been where Ferrari driven engines. It's one of the things that that struck out to me. That like I don't know if it's being too presumptuous here, but it could be that the Ferrari engine is a little bit is not as reliable as we initially thought.
I think they brought a Ferrari engine upgrade in Spain.
Mm.
Like I think they added some more extra horsepower, and I think that's ever since I think it's been failing.
It could be.
So I don't think the upgrade is the most reliable upgrade. I got Aqua here.
You got a nitty dog there.
uh, but yeah, and like it's kind of funny because like when Carlos Sainz was racing and then he went off, I'm like, oh my god, this guy again going off all by
Yeah.
himself. Now like can this guy just like get a grip? What is going on?
Yeah.
And then I mean it wasn't his fault, so I don't have a criticism for his Sainz on this one,
Yeah,
yeah.
not always has it not been his fault, but in this one, it really was out of his control. I mean, to be frank, the whole weekend he wasn't faster than Leclerc, and he was angling for a solid fourth place.
Yep.
Like he wasn't doing anything outstanding. So like he retired, I was like, it's not great, but it's still salvageable. I don't know how much he was doing for Leclerc's strategy, anyways. But then like Leclerc just retired. That being said, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Carlos. I guess we can talk about that, or we can.
No, to me it's like a little bit of Ferrari. Like, what does Ferrari need right now to get back like to like kind of the beginning of the year? At the beginning of the year, they seem like almost flawless, like executing like the best strategies, not
Yeah.
overthinking anything, just having a nice, reliable, and fast car. And then they've been like shooting themselves in the foot constantly. Like the
Yeah.
reliability is not there. In Monaco, they also messed up.
Messed up his strategy.
I don't know if like I said, like and like you mentioned before, they have this how do you say it? This tradition or
Right?
this I don't know if pride, but like they have the tradition of like they're always messing themselves up.
Oh
I
yeah.
think I
Trent
think
or
yeah,
something.
the
Yeah.
trend, the pattern.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that's a thing. Obviously I think that Ferrari hires I think a lot of the team is Italian.
Yeah.
I think it's been Italian for many years, and I think this or last year was like one of the first times that they started hiring from
Hmm.
outside of Italy. But like, I know that you can have like the best Italians in the world driving at your company, but like it's all of Italy, all of the engineers of Italy versus all of the engineers of the world from the other
Right.
teams.
Yeah.
Like, so I think that like it is nice to be proud of like the country that you're hiring from and the country that you're from, but also you have to be
Yeah.
willing to accept that there may be some talent outside of the country.
No, and in a way, I think that's like what's admirable about Ferrari. It's like, yeah, okay, so yes, they're very like sort of inbred Italian, you know, that and like that's fine. I feel like they do carry a lot of pride in like trying to improve the car, and I do think that they can come back stronger. But what is also true is that there's talent and a lot of passion for Ferrari. Like a lot of like people that will work like for Ferrari, like Charles Leclerc, for example, who's just like passionately about what the Scuderia, about the history of it. that they could go hire some people from the outside that are just gonna be just as passionate as like some Italians, and like bring them in and like improve the team holistically. So yeah, I think, I mean, yeah, it's something that we talked about for a while, but it's like, yeah, if Ferrari like expand a little bit and I don't know, because yeah, there's a lot of like strategizing issues, and sometimes also like there's the car development issues that they have suffered over the past like maybe 4 years, that is keeping them a little bit behind. So I think yeah, I mean it seems like they're taking the right steps, but um, I'm hoping that they can come back stronger. Coming in the next few races, even though, well, I guess we can talk about that, but I just don't think. I don't think it's gonna improve all that much for them, in the coming weeks, because, well, we're about. I guess we already kind of so unofficially started the European season that we always talk about, but we're going to Canada, but then we're coming back to like Europe for like 8 races in a row. And unfortunately, even Canada, I mean, it is kind of a swirly circuit, but at the end of the day, it's kind of
More
a
of a
speed.
power track, yeah.
Yeah, it's more of a power track, as well as like pretty much everyone in Europe. So like at this in this junction of time, I think it doesn't benefit them really well to be struggling. Like these were races that they must have taken care of, must have taken advantage of, in order to like capture some good points to hedge in the middle of all these power tracks that are coming, because Red Bull is just gonna come and win every one of them, or a lot of them, unless like things go south and like they retire. So I don't know. I guess the championship race is looking dicey nowadays for them.
Yeah. Okay. So with that being said,
Mhm.
is it too early to call the championship?
I mean, yes, obviously it's early. I mean, this is like just a little over a third of the season. There's plenty of races left and plenty of like,
I think there's 14 races left.
right. So like that's almost as twice as much as the number of races that we've had so far. So there's still like plenty of action to be had. That being said, a lot of those races are like very power heavy, especially like the eight that there is in Europe, like those 8 races, which starts with Silverstone, but then it goes into Austria, Spa, Hungary, Monza.
Hunger is not so power heavy, but yeah.
You know what? I don't really understand that. I mean, I don't know if it's the mountains or what it is, but to me it always seems so like there's so many straights and so many long straights. It is very curvy. It like or like very like fast turns. But it always seemed to me like it was more of a power. Like you actually needed a little extra power. It's kind of weird that you do require more downforce. I don't really understand that, because it seems like there's just so many straights. But yeah, I mean, anyways, that's a little bit of the topic. But I mean, and historically, Red Bull have performed really well there, anyways. So yeah, all that season that's coming up, I think that just favors like Red Bull like a
Yep.
lot. They just seem like they're just a lot faster on the streets. It's not even like a little bit. It's just like the Ferrari can barely compete.
Yeah. Even with DRS, like,
Yeah.
and we'll talk a little bit about it in a little bit, but I don't know if like in Baku just now that just happened, if Leclerc being second and Verstappen first, if Leclerc would have been able to overtake Verstappen.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
because I think the Red Bull car is incredibly fast on the straights. And I feel like they also tuned the car specifically to be
Be faster on the
fast on the
street.
straights. Like they know that they have an advantage there, and
Mhm.
they're not gonna add more downforce if they know that they can keep the position by being ahead of the other cars.
On the streets, yeah.
So I do think that at this point in the season, Red Bull has the advantage and probably are the most likely to win the championship. And
Yeah.
Max Verstappen is the one that is like, I don't know if at what point do you say this is Max Verstappen's championship to lose? Like,
It probably is now. Like that I feel like that's a good way of saying it. Actually, it is Max Verstappen's championship to lose, because I just don't see a way in which you play out like these 8 races without that extra power, and like in which Verstappen also does just doesn't outdrive like a lot of them, like so if he can be reliable through all of this, yeah, I feel like it is his season to lose. Like like if the Red Bull doesn't like destroy itself for reliability reasons, yeah, I think it is for a good time to start saying like, yeah, this is Verstappen's championship to lose.
Yep. I know that we have like the new regulations and we also have the budget cap and all of that. But even though that's meant to bring the cars together and like everybody be more competitive to try to fight for podiums and victories,
Yeah.
I feel like that's really not what we're going to get. Like people probably think like, oh, as the year progresses, like the teams will start catching up because the people that have spent more on their development this year,
Yeah.
uh, like are reaching the budget cap. Therefore, the other teams will have time to catch up and be able to fight. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think around halfway through the season,
Yeah.
people are going to be like, okay, this championship is over. Let's
Yeah.
focus on
Let's
the next year.
next year, and then yeah, there's like a good couple of races after or like before the year ends, like maybe like by like the last six races of the year, like people are already thinking of the next year.
Yeah,
A lot of people are moving teams or retiring, so it's like, you start kind of feeling like, yeah, okay, these are the cars that we're gonna end with.
yeah, and whatever, like however the cars are at that point, like let's say Red Bull is the best and Ferrari second best and then Mercedes and so on and so forth, that's just how it's gonna end.
Hmm.
Like the teams are not gonna spend their money on like developing a car that they know like, okay, we can't fight for the championship or any better position like
Yeah.
from what we're at right now, so let's just move on to next year. And I think that probably towards the end of the season we're probably gonna get some boring races, like predictable results.
Yeah.
uh, and and so like I know that the regulations are meant to bring the cars together, but I don't know if this year is the case. Maybe in the long term, but as of now, I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
Although
No.
I could be wrong, and I hope that I'm wrong. But
Well,
yeah,
it seems
that's
like
just how I see it.
the mid. Okay, so I could see like a few things. I mean, it seems like the midfield in itself is at its peak, and like a few teams are gonna get a little bit faster, but not like all that much faster. So I don't think the midfield is gonna be anywhere close to the top three. The one thing that I could see improving is the Mercedes. The Mercedes do have a lot of room to, get back, fix the car, fix the purposing, and the problems that
And
they're
fight
having,
for victories.
and fight for victories again. That I think is still a possibility, and that I think until the end. I mean, because I mean, we don't. I guess we can go into this. The purposing on the Mercedes, it needs to be fixed. Like it's messing up Lewis Hamilton's bag. I mean, I don't know what else needs to be said. Like, you can't, if the driver cannot like come out of the car without feeling like he's about to get injured, you can't, it's not a drivable car. It's just like, it's what it is, you have to find a way to fix it, because you are hurting your driver, like physically hurting them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if there should be a rule, but we talked about this like a few weeks ago, where we're like very concerned about it. There's a lot of like medical risks, in my opinion. You could have like head injuries, or like concussion like symptoms maybe after a race, because like your head is bouncing like for so long that it cannot be healthy for you. uh but like the FIA have been very slow on the ruling of this thing. So yeah, I don't know. I do think that they need to improve. It's the ultimate point. They do need to improve, and that they need to do it fast, because obviously it's hurting their driver.
Okay. So, I mean, I do agree with like the purposing, and I think that is very dangerous. And not only like we said, the concussion stuff, like because that's your brain just shaking. Um, I mean, the commentators do like to joke about it. Uh,
Yeah.
like, oh, they're listening to some metal music, or or some
they,
stuff.
they, they also say things like oh, it's incredible what the human eye can do, right? Like because like they're bouncing so much, but like your eye just kind of adjusts to it, and it's kind of like yeah, but it's still not good. Like
Like it's not, your body is not meant to do that.
right.
Like your eyes are shaking. I don't know how, like they could even come out of their sockets for all I think. But one thing that is very dangerous, like
Uh,
the one thing that we said, and we said it a couple of weeks ago, it is the brain bouncing
mhm.
inside your head. There's nothing you can do. Like your brain is just there, and if you shake your head, like
Yeah,
even if I shake it at home,
yeah.
my brain like will move around and will hit my skull, and like
Hmm.
it can swell. So
Yeah.
like they can have concussion like syndromes, like you said. Another one that is very important is your jaw muscles, because
Hmm.
your jaw muscles are very very tiny,
Yeah.
very fragile, that like if you're bouncing, you're probably also clenching your jaw for like that whole period of time. That can also, like, I don't know, give you tinnitus.
Yeah.
Like your jaw can start locking. I know that like all of this seems like exaggerated, but
Yeah.
it's true. Like you, like these guys are driving like 300 kilometers per hour,
Yeah,
and
and not to,
they're,
and also not to forget the back pain. I mean,
oh, the
like
back pain from Lewis Hamilton. Yeah.
honestly, when he came out of that car, it literally looked like he actually was injured. Uh, or like he was trying to be very careful with it. And honestly, I mean, if I was doing something, I would have done the same thing because you never know if you actually are injured or not. You may not even really realize it. So being cautious when he walked out of the car was probably a good thing. I think he was okay. Like it seemed like they checked everything. It seemed like he was fine, walking fine, moving fine. It was just like it really did hurt him. So yeah, but it's very concerning. I mean,
So
that's like a world champion, whether you could fuck up his back if you're not careful.
yeah, so the question here is like, do you place the blame on the FIA, or do you place the blame on the teams? Now, on one hand, the FIA, this is their sport. There's a very dangerous effect that is being caused by how fast the cars are going and the way that the teams have to develop them, and the aerodynamics, that is unlike any other sport that exists in the world. Um, and therefore, maybe the FIA can do something about it. But also, on the other hand, the teams, there are teams that don't have any purposing at all,
Yeah.
but they have been able to manage it. They
Mhm.
have been able to build a fast car and get results, and not have their drivers be injured by these conditions.
Yeah.
Um, and what, like, do we change the rules because one team, specifically Mercedes, can't get it together?
Yeah, I think I would say yes. I mean, because at the end of the day, it's about protecting the drivers, and I mean, and the teams. Well, obviously, after they see this, they want to improve it. Is what I gather from it. Like, I mean, it's hard to look at like how much they're bouncing and like non-thing that like is very uncomfortable. And
But
both drivers have complained about this. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, but at the same time, Mercedes can just raise the right height, and then
And avoid the problem, right?
and avoid the problem.
Yeah.
So obviously they're no, I know that as a Formula One team, when there's millions of dollars
Hmm.
and on the line, the teams are gonna be like, fuck it, just put that thing on the ground. I don't care if it
Yeah.
bounces.
Hmm.
I think there was a ruling a couple of years ago that the floor of the car couldn't be damaged past a certain point, like on the race,
Hmm.
because I mean, you're like having the car like
Spark up.
the height of the car being so low that if the floor is damaged, like a certain percentage of the floor is damaged, like
Hmm.
your car would be deemed illegal or something like that. I
Hmm.
think that they maybe can bring something like that back. I don't know, because like the Mercedes floor is just the whole time
Yeah,
pretty much.
I'm surprised that they haven't. if I'm gonna be honest. Like I when I saw those that was happening back in like Spain practice, I was like, they're gonna fix that, right? And then the first race started and like they hadn't fixed it. Why not react immediately? I just don't understand that. Just say like, find a solution. You have like 2 weeks, 2 more races to find a solution. And a lot of cars did find a solution just because it was like the most efficient thing to do for like the car to be faster or whatever, or it just happened that like they figured it out. Uh, but like, yes, there should be some sort of ruling. You can't have that because I mean, sure, this year it happens that the Mercedes are not as fast. But what if next year it turns out that like the bouncing is just a part of having a faster car? You're gonna have a bunch of like bouncing drivers, and the reason why that's bad is probably because it's bad for their bodies. You don't know what that type of bouncing is doing to their bodies. So like, if you want to be cautious and you don't want to put like drivers' health and probably it's like their bodies at risk, then you do need to make some sort of rule that says like, no, 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 teams, you have to make sure that your driver is safe first, and then you worry about your speed. But the driver should always be the priority. I mean, these people are putting their lives on the line.
Okay. So like you're saying that there has to be a rule implementation that it punishes the teams that are risking the driver's health.
Yeah. I think that's the most obvious thing to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, obviously the issue would be trying to find what the rule is that doesn't punish other teams that have already figured it out.
Yeah. Yeah, it would just be like, I don't know, somewhere along the lines of like, your driver cannot be bouncing more than some amount.
Like, you can do whatever you want with your car, but if your driver is coming up to us, the FIA, complaining, you have to fix this. Like,
or you can put like some sort of sensor in the car, hopefully nothing too expensive, that like measures how much a car is supposed to bounce and like establish a threshold. If your car bounces more than this on like a straight where it's not supposed to do it, commonly referred to as porpoising, then like you cannot the car is deemed undrivable, and therefore you cannot drive. Maybe they can implement something like that, because yeah, there's a point where like it must be bad for your health. Like, it must be like, if you see like their cars like bouncing, it's like a goddamn basketball. It really looks like they're about to explode when you see it from the front, like we saw it at the beginning of the year with Pierre Gasly. And I think that's why they stopped showing it as well, because they were so afraid that it was gonna that maybe like it's gonna this kind of type of effects are gonna come out. They should really
I don't know if they're also worried that like their sport is gonna look unhealthy. And I feel like they've been showing it a little bit like less and less, like the whole purposing issue. Even though I do think it is a big issue, but they haven't been showing it as much. I don't know.
Yes, and they should be at least providing us, the viewers, with like some medical people that like say like, this is fine for your body, or like, this is really not fine for like there should be some medical opinions on this, because I mean, it's a physical sport. I mean, it's a sport at the end of the day, right? Like, there's physicality involved. You have to have like trainers and people that like can look at that and be like, is this good for a human body or not? And the answer, I'm like 95% convinced, is this is not good for a human body, especially for like 2 hours like every other week. It's just it's really not healthy. And that's actually, it's more than 2 hours, because there's practices, there's qualifying, there's all of these things. So yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. The next thing that we can talk about, maybe we can combine these two, is like, was the race boring because Leclerc and Sainz retired, or would it have been boring even if they wouldn't have retired?
Oh, I see. Yes. I guess the underlying question is, would Leclerc really have been able to fight for the win of the race? And I think I'm gonna say probably not. I'm gonna say like, the strategy was working and it was different and it would have been a more interesting race. But I think the Red Bulls just looked too quick the entire weekend. I mean, it seems like they just had more pace, especially for the race. And I think, well, I guess this also goes into the Perez versus Verstappen type of thing. But I think Verstappen chose a strategy that was more oriented towards the race pace, and that's why he got out qualified. But I think that was like the smart thing at the end of the day. Like it was obvious to me that like Verstappen just had like a huge amount of pace, like an incredible amount of pace that Perez just couldn't even compete.
Yeah, I think also on the Ferrari strategy, they came in and they did get like a free pit stop, but I mean it was a little early in the race, but when it happened, where it's like you really have to manage the tires to make this strategy work. I think the degradation of the tires. I think Leclerc would have been able to finish the race, but if he would have been able to have competitive tires by the end of the race, I highly doubt it. Like there were certain takes where you see like the people just coming out of the pits on brand new sets of mediums, and like out of turn 3, like they go turn 1, no, and out of turn 2 when there's the second DRS zone, the amount of acceleration that like the brand new tires had over the old tires was insane. So Leclerc was third. Then the Red Bulls would have pitted somewhere in the middle of the race to switch for tires, and Leclerc would have at that point like got in first place.
Yeah.
The question is, would he have been able to keep that first place against Verstappen with like new tires? I don't think so. I think eventually Verstappen would have gotten him, especially in this racetrack, because the main overtaking spot is the giant straight, where Red Bull has a significant advantage over the Ferrari car, even without DRS. Like the Ferrari with DRS trying to overtake the Red Bull in front without, is like the Ferrari can't even do it.
Yeah.
So like,
but there, I think what could have happened is I could have seen Leclerc pitting again, one more time. Like yes, like Verstappen catches up to him after their own pit stop, and then I think Leclerc could have pitted like on lap 40 something, maybe 30 something, late 30s, early 40s, for like either mediums or softs, and then try to compete at the end. That could have been something that they could have done, because I think as soon as Leclerc, as soon as Verstappen would have pitted, he would have caught up to Leclerc pretty quick, in my opinion. So I think Leclerc would have had to pit one more time, but probably for faster tires and maybe for like an aggressive type of 2019 Hungary type of deal of like catching up the Red Bulls. It's a little risky, but he would have gotten passed by the two Red Bulls otherwise, possibly, maybe not by Perez.
Yeah. So overall, I do think that Verstappen was going to win the race for the most part. It would have taken something like really incredible from Charles Leclerc on that Ferrari to try to really overtake the Red Bull.
Yeah.
So I think overall, maybe the race would have been a little bit more exciting because we would have had like a battle for the lead, although we had a battle for the lead, but
oh yeah, the Verstappen versus Perez battle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so team orders, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we can talk about team orders.
So yeah, let's talk about those team orders that happened during the race. I mean, like, I don't know if I'm in the majority or the minority of these, but I'm fine with those type of calls from Red Bull. Like, I feel like if I look at it from like a driver perspective, let's say I'm Perez, and they tell me to move aside. Yes, I don't think it's necessarily fair, and it's also not good racing. It's not entertaining for the viewers. That being said, if I'm Red Bull, on the other hand, I'm like, that's just a smart thing to do. I mean, we have the 1-2. It seems like he's not Verstappen. It's not in a different strategy, but he just has more pace. Let him through. Just let him through. You both we get a 1-2. There's no fighting. There is no incident. Let's just do that. But I think there's also a difference because Perez I don't know if he had the pace. I feel like Red Bull would let them fight. The Red Bull might let them like go against each other if Perez had more pace. If Perez was ahead and like could keep the lead like by like a lot of seconds. But he can't. He's not faster than Verstappen. So if he's not faster, then what are we arguing about here? Like Verstappen was gonna pass him. Like there was pretty much no way to not pass him, and then he just took the lead and like went off. Like he ended up 20 seconds ahead, 20 on the same strategy. I mean, come on, what are we talking about here? But anyway, sorry, that's just my take. I think like team orders, yes, a little controversial, but I think they're fine. It's just how the game works.
Yeah, I know that a lot of people are very empathetic or sympathetic, whichever one, for Sergio Perez. I feel like there's a very big amount of fans for Sergio Perez that want to see him fight for the championship. I want to see Sergio Perez fight for the championship.
Yeah.
I want him to stick it to Verstappen and be like, no, I'm the captain now. Like, look at me. I'm the captain now. I'm the number one driver now. I want to see that from Sergio Perez. But also, I'm looking at the facts objectively that Sergio Perez just hasn't shown at any point that he's faster than Max Verstappen. And I've been saying it the whole time. And I don't care who listens to this, like the two people that listen to this podcast, you and me. But we've been saying it, and a lot of people say like, no, but Perez has been getting like shafted left and right by Red Bull or by whatever. But I'm gonna this is the point where I'll just keep looking back at stuff, and I think I do it every podcast. If we go back to Saudi Arabia, where people thought like, oh, Sergio Perez would have won that race if it wasn't for the safety car. He like, after the safety car, he was fourth and he was stuck behind Carlos Sainz. Now I'm like, I think if Max Verstappen would have been the one stuck behind Carlos Sainz on Saudi Arabia, Max Verstappen would have been able to overtake Sainz and maybe fight for the victory, if not win the race like he did.
Right, exactly.
And so same car, Verstappen would have done it. Perez wasn't able to do it. Same in Spain, same thing. Like, I know that in Spain he got a little bit screwed because they let Max pass, like let him overtake you so he can fight Russell, and then Max got stuck behind Russell for a while. You know, later on they like Verstappen did overtake Perez for the lead, but he was gonna overtake him anyway.
It was gonna happen. Yeah,
it was gonna happen. There's no way. Like, and I think it ended like similar to like what happened here in Baku, that like in 3 laps he has like a 6-7 second advantage, and like Perez is like, okay, what happened? I thought you were just as fast as Max.
Right, exactly.
I think in Monaco he got lucky. He got a good strategy. He did put the pace when it mattered. But like that's the trick about Monaco specifically. And I'm very happy that Sergio Perez, like a Hispanic driver, gets to win in Monaco. I think that's very rewarding. But like, if I also look at it objectively, he was losing the race in the last laps. Like, the reason he didn't lose the race is because it's Monaco.
Yeah, like, exactly. I think that's what I want to say about Monaco is that like, and we talked about this about the ratings last week, but it's like that wasn't his race to win. He just happened to win it. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he outdrove everybody or like he was faster. In retrospective, I think I give him a 4, and I've been thinking about that for some reason that I gave him a 4. I think it's more of a 3.5 or even a 3, because like he. And this race shows it. For a moment, I was like, you know what, Perez, he actually outqualified Verstappen, all of these things. But now I'm like, consistently speaking, he has never shown more pace than Verstappen at all, not even close.
Like perhaps during qualifying, he can tune the car better and in a 1 lap pace, beat Verstappen. That's fine. But when it comes to the moment of the race, and that you have to overtake people, and that you have to manage your tires, and that you have to make sure you drive the car to the limit for the entire 2 hours of the race.
Mhm.
He can't match Verstappen in that aspect. There hasn't been a single race where he has done that. And like I said, don't say that Monaco is the one, because it's not. Like
But
clearly, we saw that
Monaco,
Sainz, Verstappen, and Leclerc were all faster than him,
yes,
and they just couldn't overtake him because it was Monaco.
Monaco was literally, I think, the only place where like Perez, if he got lucky, could win the race.
Yep.
And like that's exactly what happened. I mean, that's why we also don't always talk about like how being the second driver, that's your job, to be consistent. And in that race, he delivered that. Like he was consistent enough to be on a good spot in the race that and turned out, lucky for him to win it. That doesn't mean that like he is world champion contender versus Verstappen. It's not even close. Like Verstappen is just outright faster. Like you can see it. Like he drives faster. So, uh, so yeah, no, I mean, if things go as they have been, and there's no like incredible amount of changes coming out of nowhere, yeah, I don't think Perez really is fighting for the championship. He is on paper, but only on paper.
Yeah, I do think that when they told him, "Hey, no fighting," like in the race in Baku, it's like, yeah, but they told him like, "Hey, don't fight, don't defend against Max Verstappen," and I'm like, you can defend Perez all you want, but also, if he would have just been faster than Verstappen, the team wouldn't have had the need to tell him, "Hey, no fighting."
Exactly.
He would have just outright won the race.
Mhm. Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he's just saving too much of the tires or something. But there's definitely more pace for him, and in a way, like I feel like some amount of vindication is still for like Albon and Gasly, because I feel like they struggle just as much. It's just that like Perez has been, I don't know, I don't want to say more lucky. He's been competitive as well, but he's also had like more situations in which he can show them, like Albon and Gasly had the opportunity to do. But in any case, I think yeah, those are just the current thoughts on Perez. I don't really think he's driving driving for the championship. Unfortunate to say, not yet at least. Again, like on
No,
paper, he's got enough points to obviously like be there, but like on speed, on merit, I don't think so. I don't think he's quite there.
okay. Speaking of team orders, let's talk about McLaren.
Okay, well, what's up with McLaren?
So, McLaren had a couple of team orders in this race, and this is not something that like I know the ins and outs on, but I do want to discuss because it's team orders from a team that is not fighting for the championship. If correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember all the exact details. I'm trying my best here, but there was a point where I think Lando was stuck behind. Was it Alonso or Ocon at the
I
beginning of
think
the
I think it was
race?
Alonso. Yeah.
And then Ricardo, I think Norris started on medium tires and Ricardo was on hard tires. And then Ricardo asked, like, let me pass, like, let me have a shot at Alonso
Mhm.
because I'm on a different strategy and I'm faster. And they didn't let him.
Yeah.
And then what ended up happening, like 2 laps after that, is that Gasly completely overtook Ricardo. And then at that point, I was like, oh, but see, you're not faster than Alonso because you just got overtaken by Gasly. And like, I don't know if that's exactly fair because like Lando could have also been slowing down Danny Rick
Yeah.
from like, and then that played out onto Gasly's like race. And then later on during the race, when Ricardo was ahead of Lando, like they told Ricardo, let Lando pass, see if he can overtake the guy in front. Um, and if not, we'll give you back the position, you know?
Mhm.
And my take here is like, they could have done the same for Danny Rick at the beginning of the race. you know?
Mhm.
Like you
Okay, I'm
said you're
sorry.
faster. Let's switch positions. You and Lando swap places. You try to overtake the car that you say you're faster than. And if you can't, you got to give the position back. Um,
Yeah, I think that's fair. The I don't know. I don't know. The thing is that never got the feeling that either of the McLarens had more pace than the what's it called, the Alpine.
yeah.
It's just I'm not. I don't think it was ever gonna happen for either of them. So from the team's perspective, I looked at them and I was like, you know what, you could swap positions, wouldn't be the end of the world. But for what? I don't know. I guess it was just more drama that was called for. It was probably the right thing to give the other driver a shot to do that. And it should have been more. I guess it would have been fair, like the way that you described it. I don't know if it would have made a difference. I think Alonso was just quicker, and I think at the end of the day they just decided to keep in both occasions. I think the positions as they were,
Yeah.
which is
I
which is
think,
it's fine
I
with
mean,
me. I think.
it's fine. I think to me, it shows that, let's say that Ricardo was genuinely faster than Norris. Maybe he was. I don't know if he was fast enough to overtake Alonso, but maybe perhaps he was faster than Norris at that point in the race with like the tires that he had.
Yeah.
But I think it shows that McLaren would probably like, we have had 8 races in the year, and I think this is the first one where Danny Rick like genuinely seemed faster than Lando.
Mhm.
Uh, but so like I know that probably this is the one race where you're faster than him, and McLaren is like, do we trust him at this point that Danny Rick can make the move?
Yeah.
Like,
I
or
mean,
should we still trust Lando, who's just been delivering every single time?
maybe. I feel like from Ricardo, it's probably just he's gotten asked to move a couple of times, so I think he's happy to for once be the one asking. Uh, I don't know yet. I think he wasn't looking that much faster than Lando. He just happened to be in like a different strategy and like wanted to give it a shot. I think Ricardo is trying things with the car. That's what he was saying in the interviews beforehand. That like he's now they're putting a lot of effort in the simulators and finding out what works for the car. So he's coming back with some pace. And overall, I think it's just positive the entire weekend for them. I don't know. I don't feel like there should be too much drama. I mean, Lando lost a point, let's say, at the end of the race by not being able to compete with Ricardo because he was told, no, even if it's for position, no, don't do it. But all he lost was like a point in the difference. Like if you look at how many points Lando has compared to Ricardo, I think he's got like 50 or something compared to like 11 or 12 from Ricardo. So it's like at the end of the day, it doesn't make a whole lot of a difference because they were fighting for 8 and 9. So I think it was the right call, and it's also good for Ricardo's morale. Like, eh, yes, like this race you can have an extra point, and like we don't need to show you that there's a faster driver than you. I think I don't know. I think it helps, and I'm okay with it just for the reason this is why I say that like I'm not fully opposed to team orders. I think they can be a positive thing. They can help one driver that actually needs help. And I think Ricardo, needs to get some mojo back. He needs to get a little bit of his morale refurbished, if you will.
Okay, all right. Okay, this is a short topic, and this is the one that I'm gonna call this topic the Mick Schumacher watch.
All right.
Mick Schumacher was so slow this week.
Yeah. It was well. Latifi had his like 5 second issue, but very surprising how far behind Mick was compared to Magnussen.
Yep.
I mean, what was like 17th, like the entire race?
Yeah, he
Um,
was pretty much like Latifi was last and then Mick.
And it's weird because Magnussen was fighting for points. Like Magnussen was like in there and like really he would have gotten points. He was about to pass Ocon. I mean, like this is the I think he was about to pass Ocon, yeah. And these are the Alpines, the fastest one on like on the straight. A very surprising pace from coming from Magnussen, but then Mick was nowhere. Uh, like not even faster than Albon. I mean, which Albon was doing pretty well, but like not even faster than that, and like couldn't get close to Stroll. I it's bizarre. Yeah, I don't know. I guess there is something there. Maybe he's just not as comfortable on Baku as the more experienced Magnussen.
Controversial take. Maybe he's just not that good.
Oh shit! All right.
I think like I mean on the last weekend we kind of roasted him a little bit for crashing.
Mhm.
And I think this is another street circuit. I think they probably told him, calm down, just bring it home.
Yeah.
And therefore, now that he has to be more careful and he cannot push as hard, maybe he's afraid also of pushing that hard. It just shows like a much slower pace. I think it also shows, like, for example, he was a little hyped up like from last year because I think he beat Mazepin every single weekend.
Yeah, but I mean, Mazepin did.
I know, but like, so like, if we see that, let's say that this is Mick Schumacher, like, oh, Mick Schumacher is not that good. Magnussen clearly can show that he's just better. Then Mazepin was just shit.
Yeah. No, I mean, well, Mazepin was garbage. Like, I mean, like his times were garbage all throughout the season, and his qualifyings were really bad, but also like just his race pace was really bad. He literally only got lucky in a few races where he ended up ahead of Mick, but for the most part, he was just really really bad, and like would also be like very liable to spin or to crash. Uh, so yeah, he never really looked comfortable in the car, and I think you could see the tension. Also, like on the few parts of the Drive to Survive, you could really tell that like he was really not having a good time. And like everybody was trying to help him, but everybody was like, "We don't know why he sucks. Like he's just not good." uh, but that doesn't mean that Mick was better or like that he was that much faster. Now that Magnussen came back, Magnussen, who is a seasoned driver, very good. I've always been a fan because I've always thought he's really actually really fast. Comes back and like shows like the car has true pace. It can drive well. Now Mick, I don't know. Like now Mick is like was trying to overcompensate and ended up on the wall a couple of times. So yeah, they probably told him to relax. I mean, he's costing them probably a lot of money.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that this means that Mick is bad. Just this is the Mick Schumacher watch, where like every week we see like is he getting better? Is he just bad? What's the deal with Mick Schumacher? Because I don't know if I can place him yet in a category of like, is he good? Is he bad? Is he middle of the pack?
Well, what I'll say is that we said this before. I said that he's still on the like Lance Stroll category. Like that's his level of speed. Not like incredibly fast, but fast enough to be in Formula One. Maybe he's getting a little lower. Maybe I don't know. Maybe my estimation, but I think he's never or like he's gonna have a job in Formula One for a little bit. I think the Schumacher last name still carries a lot of weight, so I think he's gonna be there for a while. He's got a while to improve, but it would be kind of a shame if he just didn't have it really. If he didn't like have it, the speed to really compete, because like a lot of people were putting a lot of expectations on him, and I'm sure it must be difficult for him for that reason. But yeah, I mean, he's like a fast driver, or like he's like a driver, like a good driver, but not like he's not in the same level or like same league as like the other few rookies that have come out through this past few years. So yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Let's criticize the FIA.
All right. The FIA. Let me know about it.
This is my rant. It's not as big as the one for last week or any of the other previous weeks, but it's still something that bothers me and that I'm gonna bring it up. Just anything that the FIA does that is just annoying, I'll do it. This is the section called "Let's Criticize the FIA."
Mhm.
Yuki Tsunoda's DRS.
Oh yes. All right. I was hoping for something like this, but go on.
I don't understand exactly what happened with Yuki Tsunoda. His wing, his DRS broke, and I think it kept lifting up, but because it was broken, some part was just stuck down. And then they come into the pits, and then you see the mechanics come in with duct tape to try to tape it together.
Yeah.
And they just send the car out there again for like another 10 laps.
No DRS.
And they tell him no DRS.
Yeah.
Is that legal? Can they do that?
I guess I wasn't thinking about that, but I think it is. I think it should be. It should be fine. I've seen it happen before. But go on.
Yes. So my point is like, how much can a car break before you can fix it with duct tape and still send it out there? For example, there was we made a joke when Imola happened that Alonso's car was broken, like an entire side pod.
Mm-hmm.
And then like Jose, our other brother, mentioned like they should just put duct tape on top of it. You know, it's like a giant hole on the side. I'm like, yes, what's the limit? What can you really just like, oh, my car broke, let's come into the pits and put duct tape on it? Is this allowed? Is this in the rules? How are you allowing a car using duct? I know that this case was probably okay, but also, are you for real just putting a bunch of duct tape on a car that's going 300 kilometers per hour for the next 10 laps, like under the amount of force that the wind causes over that like rear wing, just to see like just to finish the race and see if you can get any points?
Well, I don't know. I feel like the teams do that. I feel like duct tape, it looks a little like whatever, but like but duct tape is actually really strong. Duct tape, I thought it was funny that like they were pulling. It seemed like this was NASCAR. You know, in NASCAR sometimes like the car is broken and they bring out the hammer and start like hammering it, trying to get it into like place. That's what it reminded me of, and I thought it was funny. I don't know. I think, in my opinion, yes, it's a little risky, but I think the wings in particular are like parts of the car that like can be repaired like that. I don't know. I don't know the ruling about this, but I guess I looked at what happened in the weekend and I was fine with it. I think there were some situations in which I thought like I guess the complaint that I thought you were gonna have is that like, how come like when his wing breaks, the FIA tell him like, you need to come in, you need to do all these things. I really didn't think that he had to. But like, how come he has to do that? But I've seen like Lewis Hamilton, for example, like I think last race or a race before that, I think it might have been Spain. No, the one where he crashed with Ocon. So like half of his like wing was like falling down for like a good portion of the race, and like they didn't tell him to come in or anything. So I was like, I think we need some consistency, because like if you're saying that like dangling or like breakage on one of the wings needs to be sort of
Duct
penalized, then, or it can be just duct tape, sure. Then like you need to have like the same standard for everybody else. But
yes.
you know, the duct tape, it's funny. But
I was gonna go into that. I'll bring another example now that you bring Lewis Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
I think 2017,
mm-hmm.
I think, or 2018, Lewis Hamilton is winning the race and his headrest comes off.
Azerbaijan, yeah, I think.
Same track.
I think 17.
And they had to bring him in and screw that thing over. My question now is, Could they have just duct taped it?
I mean, I think they could have, but I think it was better to screw it. I've seen them repair things with duct tape before. They've done that in the past. I've seen them just like slap it on.
I know that this is a thing. My question is like, what's the limit? You know? So like you mentioned in Monaco, Lewis Hamilton is his fucking front wing is just flapping left and right in the circuit, and they're letting him continue.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually that thing breaks off. I saw it breaking off when he was in the tunnel.
Yeah.
Coming out of the tunnel, you see Lewis's wing just fly off. And I'm like, is that not dangerous? Shouldn't he have come in? Like,
exactly.
What are you allowing as a piece just dangling off like a car? That like, how dangerous is it? I just need to know, what do you allow and what do you not allow? Can we have a exact ruling here?
And it should be stated, because I believe it was Suzuka last year or the 2 years before. I think it was Suzuka that like Leclerc was winning the race, or no, he wasn't winning the race. He was ahead of Hamilton, but he had like his wing was dangling, and he dangled for like 3 laps, and then the fucking wing flew off, and like it destroys Hamilton's fucking rear view mirror, his right one. I don't know if you remember this. But
no, I don't remember this.
He's like, I just lost my mirror to Leclerc's dangling wing. And then Leclerc finally was told that he needed to come in by the FIA after that happened. And I'm just like, shouldn't they have told him to do that before? Like, and he refused because he hadn't lost any pace, similar to Hamilton and Monaco.
I remember, like the front wing, front wing was just like all fucked up.
Yes.
And he didn't lose any pace. He was actually keeping up the position
just fine. Yeah. And like the team told him to come in and he like refused. And then the FIA didn't even say anything until like, I think finally after the team flew, they told him like, you're going to get a red, a black and orange flag or something like that if you don't come in.
Like black and white?
I think, I don't know. What is the black and orange? I think somebody got that this weekend.
I don't know what black and orange is. Black and white is
a warning.
You have a warning, yeah.
Yeah, I'll look that up afterwards. But yeah, I think there should be consistency in
the other one. I know this one is not exactly that, but there are certain rulings that they just let them go like that. This is one, like the duct tape thing. I know this one was probably not a big deal, but I want to know in the rules where it says that that's okay, you know, and how much, because the teams will push that ruling. If you give them an inch, the team will take the entire racetrack. And then the other thing is, I think it was 2020 that I think Leclerc was in Spain. His car in the last chicane, his engine turned off in the middle of the race, and then he was gonna get out of the car, and he undid his seatbelt and was gonna get out, and then the engine turned back on.
Yes.
And then he raced.
He drove all the way.
He drove for like 3 laps without a seatbelt.
Yeah.
And then he, like after 2 or 3 laps, he radios the team like, "Hey, I'm not wearing any seatbelt. Should I come in?" And they didn't say anything.
I think he. I don't know if he drove the. I remember this happening. It was Spain, but I don't know if he drove the extra laps. I think immediately, like his car started working, so like he went back to the pits and he said like, "I undid my things, but I think I'll just make it to the pits really quick."
No, he drove for like 3 laps.
Did he actually drive for like 3 laps? That's crazy. That's absolutely bananas. Like,
and nothing happened. I think eventually they retired the car.
They retired. Yeah.
But Leclerc drove a Formula One car without any seatbelt on. Yeah. He crashes and he's dead.
Oh yeah, like easily, like goodbye Leclerc forever. Like, I mean, you cannot survive that. I mean, you literally will go flying at 1,000,000 miles per hour.
Yeah. So there are some rulings. I know that, this is what I mean. Like, you start with like a broken rear wing that you duct tape, just then you go into like a dangling front wing, then you go into Leclerc's dangling front wing that breaks a mirror, then and you just sweep it off and it's okay, and then you go into a driver is driving without a seatbelt on, and it's like, okay, so how much can we get away with before the FIA says anything? And to any of these things, the FIA just doesn't say anything, and that's like what frustrates me. This is why we're criticizing the FIA.
I don't even know if Ferrari got penalized for that. Which
no, they didn't. No, not even a fine or nothing. There was nothing.
That's crazy. That's so dangerous, dude. That is so insane.
Yeah, right. that was prime Michael Massey, but anyway.
Oh yeah.
Gotta end the call and then we'll come back in. We'll just doing the ratings.
Yeah, that's fine. Hold on, I'm gonna go pee. I'll be right back.
Okay, I'm gonna end the call. Just join whenever.
All right. So actually, I got an encore topic for you today. Bonus topic, and it's actually pretty saucy. And it also goes with what you were saying about the FIA, which is the Alonso incident, the Alonso trickery, huh? back in action. It's the reason why you love Fernando. At the same time that you know that like what he did was a little fucked up, but it's because exactly what we're talking about. Because this is why rules matter. Because Fernando Alonso will take advantage of your stupid rules, and so what happened, everybody, is on qualifying. I think it was either Q1 or Q2, but I think it was Q2. Where he was ahead of the pack as they were coming out of a red flag, I believe, and just ahead of Albon, and then he literally like knew that like everybody behind him was bunched up, so he slowed down most of his lap. He wasn't doing a faster time. He was like 2 tenths or maybe more down on his delta, and then he decided to create a yellow flag at the end. Now, this has been analyzed pretty thoroughly, and it looks like he did it on purpose. Like like it was actually very clear that like the entire lap he was looking behind him. He asked his engineers about the people behind him, and the entire lap. I mean, he was braking way too early, and then he ended up going off in like a very dubious way.
Like he broke really early before going off. And then he's like, I'm off on the really last sector of the track.
Yes.
And yeah, everybody then gets a yellow flag. I think if anything, the one that was least affected was Albon, because he could just go right by him. Mm-hmm. But as soon as Fernando goes off, everybody else behind him, yellow flag, yellow flag. Everybody has to slow down. And that guarantees him like that the top 10 position.
Exactly. And the reason why, there's a multitude of reasons why that's bad, but the reason why in particularly in this occasion is because there should be, if you they haven't changed this for a while, and it's kind of puzzling to think of why, because it doesn't make any sense. But if you create a yellow or a red flag in the middle of a qualifying, you get to keep that position. You get to keep whatever spot you're on, and you never penalize. And it's weird to me because, for example, on that same qualifying, Sainz actually, like, let's imagine like Sainz did like a faster lap than Leclerc, which I think he did at the beginning. If he then goes first ahead of Leclerc and then decides to create an incident or happens to have an incident, then it's very suspicious. It not only is it very suspicious, but like you could get qualifying that way. And it's happened before. I mean, it happens all the time where like somebody creates a red flag. Why is that not penalized? Because your time is fine.
This is a thing in other sports. In other sports, if you are the one, I don't know if a yellow flag, but if you are the one that causes a red flag in qualifying, you lose your time.
Yeah.
So it's not something unheard of. Mm-hmm. It's just Formula One doesn't apply it for whatever reason. And I feel like we're getting to the point that like it should be applied. I feel like they don't apply because they feel like, oh, drivers are not doing it anyway, so why would we make that a rule?
Yeah.
It's like, because when it matters, there's not going to be a rule in place that can tell you, hey, you shouldn't be doing this. You should have it so like when it happens, you can penalize the people that are doing that. Alonso, I think, applied the trick that Michael Schumacher
I
did
did
on
it in
him.
Monaco back in the
Yeah, in Monaco, the same way.
Mhm.
Like Michael Schumacher got the time and he came out for a lap ahead of Alonso, and Alonso was going to beat him in pole position.
Yeah.
And then Michael Schumacher on the very last turn of the Monaco, like decided to not turn. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm stuck.
And this is just another incident where like you can clearly see like the biases of the FIA. This time surprisingly in reverse, but it makes sense that like they when they see this or like type of incident happening like on the top of the field, like, oh well, obviously that's not fair because you can see it and like it should be penalized. Michael Schumacher, wasn't he penalized for that?
Yeah,
Or
Michael did lose the position and had
the
to start
position?
last. Yeah.
Yes. So in that time they penalized it and they did the right thing. I mean, I think Rosberg got away with a very close one. I think on Monaco as
Yeah,
well.
Rosberg on 2016 also did the same thing where like he went out first before Hamilton, and Rosberg already had a faster time than Lewis, and then
Mhm.
on at the end of in the middle of sector 2, he decided
He went off.
to like the hairpin in Monaco right
Yeah.
before that turn, he just
Mhm.
went off
On
and
the
caused a
skipper.
yellow track. Yeah,
Yeah. Yes.
a
And
yellow
it,
flag.
and it's like very similar to you could have said the same thing about, for example, Leclerc. I think last year or the year before that in Monaco, when he like actually crashed at the end. I don't think it was intentional, but you could also say like it worked out for him. Had he not fucked up his gearbox and whatever, like it would have been like just fine. Like he just got the qualifying because he was on provisional pole. So yeah, I don't know why they haven't incorporated this. It's so obvious. I mean, and Fernando is literally just giving it to them in their face, like saying like this rule is faulty. We can take advantage of red flags or of yellow flags just by strategizing around them, and that's not what you want. And I just don't understand why the FIA don't penalize these things. Isn't it against the rules? I believe there's a rule against this because it was enacted with Michael Schumacher. So why not even look into it? Because they didn't even say they were going to investigate it and then penalize it. That I don't know. That's really bizarre to me. And Fernando's going to keep doing it. If they don't fix it by next race, Fernando's going to be like, yeah, I'm still going to do that. Like if I there's a situation in which there's a escape road, I'm going to try to use it to my advantage because
Yeah.
like I mean that's what happens with that
And
type of thing.
I do wish that like more drivers were like that. I know my personality, mine specifically, if I was in the sport, I would
Yeah,
take advantage of every single one of those stupid rules.
yeah.
Where like I'm just gonna do it until they tell me not to. And I don't care the reputation that I get here. This is not on me, it's on the FIA. The
Yeah,
FIA should fix this shit because it just it does look very ridiculous.
yeah, and the fact that the FIA is like this, it really is bad for the sport. I mean, because drivers have and will take advantage of it, and also drivers now are also starting to see that you can take the rulings from the FIA as a strategic advantage. And in a way, in my opinion, it's kind of like what Verstappen did last year, where like he just literally like on the cutting edge of every single rule about how you can cleanly pass somebody. Like he was like on it, like and I think many times over it, where like he was just making illegal moves, like driving Hamilton off the road, doing like all these like dirty tricks that like should be penalized. But like he was saying like, well, you know what? Why don't I let the FIA decide if I'm doing something wrong? Huh? Like I'm just gonna fucking do it because I'm strategizing around it. So I think that this is what happens. This is what happens when you let the sport become that. When your rulings are a part of the strategy now, as opposed to just the fucking rules, like it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Some juicy shit.
Yeah. We can move on to the next topic if you want.
All right, so now we're just in the Formula Juan World Championship.
The championship. Yeah.
Yeah. And on our Formula One World Championship, Leclerc is winning so far
Mm.
as the driver that deserves to win the world title. But we'll see.
Mhm.
Let's start with Charles Leclerc.
All right, we'll do it. He was having a great weekend actually. Like he was faster on the practices, and his qualifying lap was unbelievable. It was so good. Like I mean, like he found like he was just driving normally, and then out of nowhere he just found like 4 tenths or like nearly 5 tenths faster than like the top position. It was like unbelievable. Like this doesn't just happen like in a street circuit like this. And he just, I think the beauty about Leclerc is, especially in qualifying, when it's the last run, he will literally send everything. He drives on the edge like nobody else, especially in qualifying. And you could see it on this one. In this one, he sent everything, and you almost saw it in Monaco also back in the race when he was about to do that crazy qualifying lap. In this one, you got to see a little bit more of it, maybe not as intense, but man, the guy can fucking fly on that Ferrari. That being said, I mean, he did like a little bit of race pace, and he also fucked up his like turn one, which
Yep.
he was trying. He was getting back at, and he looked competitive. I'm gonna give him a 4.5 this weekend.
Carlos Sainz.
Sainz Zeruni. I don't know. Probably like a 3.5. Uh, no. You know what? A three. He was out qualified by his teammate. Ended up behind both Red Bulls at the end of qualifying. Yeah, unfortunately, and then he just didn't even race. So it's like, how can I give him more than three? You know.
All right. Max
I know.
Verstappen.
Also, the practices were not that good for him. But so Max Verstappen. Well, it was interesting that like he didn't perform as well on the qualifying. That I think we discussed about it. I think it was just a matter of the setup that he had more of a race based setup. So I mean, that being said, he didn't get the qualifying. He got third place, and he didn't essentially get the lead on his own. You could say that as well. But
Nah,
I'm
I
still
think he
gonna.
totally did it.
I mean, I think so too. So I'm gonna give him a 4.5. It wasn't perfect, but it was what you expect from him.
Perez.
Perez, he did not qualify Leclerc. I mean, sorry, Verstappen, and
Mhm.
took the lead for a little bit, but he didn't have enough. I'm gonna give him a 4. I'll be generous. I mean, you could say like 3.5 because I think his setup was better for the qualifying, and that's why he got it. But no, I mean, I'll give him a 4.
George Russell.
Russell did pretty good, staying consistent, staying fast. Drove had a better qualifying than Hamilton, which paid off big time. And got like really good points. He's still the only driver to finish in the top 5 in every single race
Yeah,
this year.
the guy is incredibly consistent. That's all you gotta be. You just gotta be a consistently fast driver,
Yeah.
and you'll get the offers from the best teams.
Which he already is in the best teams. Now it's just a matter of the waiting game until like he can start making some passes again. I mean, Mercedes are gonna come back either this year or next year with a fast car, and he's just you know just gotta wait, bide his time, whatever you say. But anyways, Hamilton.
Wait, what score did you give it?
I give him I don't know. It's not a 5. It's also not a 4.5. I think a 4. I think a 4 is fine. It's
Really?
because it's hard to say if he was really faster than anybody. It just, I mean, I don't know. I guess he was just fast.
I don't know. Is there anything better than Russell could have done?
I just don't know how to gauge that. Like, but it's like, did he drive well, or did he just like drive fast? I like
Or is the
fast
fact that
enough.
he's just so consistent that it makes it seem like he's just I don't know. I think it's a 4.5 at least, 4.5.
4.5. All
But
right, I'll do 4.5. I think that's fair.
all right. Lewis Hamilton.
Hamilton, I think he did pretty good. Uh, kind of crazy there with his back and stuff. That like he was like bouncing all around, but still making like really good passes and still like being very competitive. He did get out qualified, which is not great. And he does seem to be struggling more with the car than Russell is. So I don't know, a 4. I think is appropriate for Hamilton because he still ended like a good like in a good spot. He just never had more than Norris per se. I mean more than Russell. Sorry.
Okay, so 4.
Yeah, a 4.
Cool. Now, Valtteri Bottas.
Uh, Bottas, I think he did okay. He did. Let me see.
He
Oh
ended
no,
up outside of the points.
11th. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I didn't think about the alphas the entire week. The Alfa Romeos. I didn't see them. I didn't see him at all. So I also didn't see Joe that much. I'm
Well, the
gonna give.
show got retired at the beginning of the race.
Oh, even though he was doing well, that's right.
Yeah,
Very
it's
very
he's
poor for
been
him.
very unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna give Valtteri a 3, a solid
And
3.
then Guanyu.
I'm also gonna give him a 3. I mean, it's hard to know what he was gonna really do. I don't. I think he didn't out qualify Bottas, so it'll be kind of weird to give him that, or he might have actually. I don't know. Anyways,
Now let's go now for Lando Norris.
um, well, I mean, for a McLaren's be able to end up ahead of the Alpines, I think I'm gonna give both of the McLaren's drivers a 4. I think because I think they both did just as good of a job. I think Ricardo, yeah, doesn't have as much pace as Norris, and it was kind of evident at the end that like Norris could have just passed him. But I think they both did like a really good race, and they both, I don't know, they're working well. They're working well for the team. So
All right. Alex Albon.
Albon had like way more pace than Latifi, which I don't know if that's more of a statement about Albon being good or Latifi being bad. But it was a solid weekend for him. Didn't get points, so I don't think I can give him a 4. So I'm giving it a 3.5. I think he just did better than like what you would expect from the car.
Okay.
And Latifi,
You're giving him a better score than Sainz.
I think that's probably right. Yeah, because Sainz didn't get to race.
Okay.
yeah,
Just so you can
yeah. No, I get it.
Latifi.
No, Latifi, well, he had that penalty, which wasn't really his fault. If somebody like moved late or something from like the starting
Yeah,
grid.
they just pushed them back after they weren't supposed to.
Yeah. But then his race was destroyed, but then he was always just last.
Wait, didn't in this race he also get like an ignoring blue flags?
Um, I think he might have
Like a
gotten.
5-second penalty for ignoring blue flags?
I think he might have, yeah.
Yeah, that's the first time I see that happening. I see it happening all the time in the video game, but never in actual Formula One.
yeah,
So
never in
I
real
was
life.
glad to see it that I'm like, oh yeah, they just give it to somebody, you know?
Yeah, I'm gonna give him a 2.
Let's go with Magnussen.
K Mag. He was doing really well actually. It was kind of a bummer when he left. I mean, he was about to pass an Alpine. That would have been great. It speaks about the reliability of the Haas more than his driving. I'm gonna give him I want to say a 3.5 or a 4. 3.5. 3.5. Outperforming the car, but it's still unknown if he would have actually gotten the points. But I was hopeful.
All right. Mick Schumacher.
Mick, as we discussed earlier, not doing his hottest. Uh, probably below, but I mean, at least he finished the race. I don't know if he was ever really in contention for the points. I'm gonna give him a 2.5. I could see a 2 though, like a 2 like Latifi, like just bad times, very slow.
All right.
let's
I'm
give it
gonna leave it at
2.5.
2.5
It
for
doesn't
now.
really matter. I don't think it's gonna make the top 10.
Esteban Ocon.
No, actually, put it. Give him a 2. I mean, let's be frank here. I'm trying to be nice to the guy, but let's just give him what he deserves. Okay, so who's next? What was it?
Ocon.
Ocon. I don't know. He wasn't faster than Fernando. He was in a good car and he ended in the points. I'm gonna give him a 3.
Alonso.
Alonso, I would probably put him on. I mean, the shenanigans with the qualifying. I mean, I understand that like he can get away with that, but at the end of the day, I really don't like that he's doing that. It is kind of a shitty move to pull, but it's still legal. So whatever. I'm gonna give him a 3.5 or a 4, maybe a 4, a 4.
Okay.
Still faster than Ocon and still remain ahead of the McLarens, which Ocon wasn't able to do. So.
All right, let's go with Yuki.
Yuki was doing pretty well until that incident with his wing.
I know, right?
He was
He
going
was doing. I think he was he doing better than Gasly?
No, he wasn't doing better than
No, he
Gasly.
wasn't
Gasly.
better. Yeah, Gasly in the top 5. So yeah, no. But Yuki was doing surprisingly well.
Yeah, he was doing pretty well. I would give him I don't know. I mean, he was behind, but he was also making good passes and making the best out of that alpha, which is what you need to do. Probably a 4. I'll give him a 4.
A 4. You think
Yeah.
he drove better than Magnussen?
Yeah.
You think he drove better than Albon?
I saw more things from him than from them, yes. And he was making the moves and he was like actually going forward. Like you could tell that he was gonna end up in a good position.
Okay. Gasly.
I give Gasly a 4.5. I think
Ooh.
I think he was the best of the rest this weekend. Like, you know, in previous weekends he's been Bottas mostly. Sometimes it was K-Mag, but this one is clearly like Pierre was just on top of his game.
All right. Now, last but not least, Sebastian Vettel.
Vettel. Let's see. Oh no, he did really good. He actually drove really quick, and I was able. Although he did have that like a spinning incident, that where like it was actually an incident, but like his save was actually really good too. Like he went up and immediately did that like that 360 and like just came back into the race and like eventually just got the spots back, totally saved the race. Maybe there was even more. It's hard to say. I want to give him a 4. I want to give him a 4. I think maybe a 4.5 somewhere in there would have been possible, but I think 4 is good.
And then Lance Stroll.
Oh, with the double crash on qualifying, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, that was really, I don't know if it was his fault or it was the car's fault.
He didn't finish the race. I don't know. Why did he retire?
I don't know.
I don't know why he retired. But he didn't finish the race.
No, he did finish. He did finish. Oh no, he didn't finish. He didn't. I don't remember why. It might have been another incident, but I don't think it was.
Did he crash by himself again?
No, oh, you know what it was? That I thought it was actually too obvious. But like the engineers from his team, they were like, "Oh, we're feeling some vibrations. We're just gonna retire the car."
Yes.
And then like he just I don't know, I just retired. But like these vibrations is just an excuse. They just wanted to save the engine. I mean, come on, we all know. There was nothing wrong with this car. I'm pretty sure.
All right. So what's the score you give him?
Oh, probably a 2.5.
Okay. So you ready for this top 10?
Yeah.
All right. So actually, for the first place, you have a 4-way tie.
Oh shit! All right.
So you have to choose Leclerc, Verstappen, Russell, or Gasly.
I'm gonna say Verstappen first. I mean, I think he deserved it. He drove the best. I want to say Leclerc second. then Russell, then Gasly.
Okay.
Because I mean, it's kind of hard to tell, but Leclerc was having a good race and he was going fast. Um, but Russell, no, maybe Russell should be ahead of Leclerc. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, let's put Russell ahead.
Okay. Now we have for the 5th spot.
Mhm.
Oh, actually, here's the top 10. The next ones all have the next 6 spots
Oh,
are
I'll
all
have
tied.
force. Wow, big scores on this one actually.
Yeah, so you have Perez, Hamilton, Norris, Ricciardo, Alonso, Tsunoda, oh, and Vettel. So you have 7 people.
7.
One
Oh,
of them
geez.
needs to be out of the top 10.
Oh, geez, Luis. All right. Let me think about this. So I think the last one from all of those, I think I'm gonna put Perez.
Perez is the last, so he's not gonna be in the top 10.
Right. Uh,
You
so
think that you think Norris and Ricardo drove better than Perez?
I'm gonna put Ricardo on the bottom, the next one on the bottom.
Okay.
Then okay, so there's 5 left, which is Norris, Alonso, Hamilton, Vettel, and who else?
Tsunoda.
All right, let's put Tsunoda next. Then I'm gonna put Norris, Alonso, Vettel, and Hamilton.
Alonso, Vettel, Hamilton. Okay.
How does that look? I think that's kind of fair. Hamilton had a lot of really good passes. He was always there, and like he drove back as much as he needed to, even with the discomfort. I think that makes sense. I don't know
You
why
think that Danny Rick drove better than Perez?
Yeah, even though he was slower than his teammate, he still ended ahead, which Perez was.
Even though they gave him team orders to the teammate to not overtake Danny.
Yeah, he wasn't 20 seconds behind. He wasn't that type of pace, like behind. Like Norris would have passed him and he would have gotten like 3-second advantage at the end, at most.
I see what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's it. What's
Wait,
the next race? Canada.
What did I give Vettel again? Sorry, I guess I'm
Vettel
invested in this.
So you have Verstappen, Russell, Leclerc, Gasly, Hamilton, then Vettel, Alonso, Norris, Tsunoda, Ricciardo.
Maybe Alonso should be ahead of Vettel. No, oh no, Vettel ended up ahead of Alonso.
Yeah.
Oh, Vettel had a hell of a weekend. Yeah, no, I was right. Let's keep it that way.
Yeah. So we got Canada. That's it.
Canada is good. Well, I'm excited to be back in there. A lot of people say it's a power track. I think it is a power track too. But
I think so. It's a lot of straights.
yeah,
Who do you think is going to win?
I don't know. The Ferraris have been good on that historically. So I feel optimistic about that. It's also not as easy to pass as you might think. On it, there's only I think only the back straight before the chicane, the wall of champions. I think that's probably the only realistic place to pass, purely off speed, which is how the Red Bull likes to do it. So I think they have chances. Again, I think I say this every weekend, but they have to play the team game. Just Sainz needs to show up and do something. Like
it's been 8 races where Sainz needs to show up
and do something. Yeah, like, geez. But
this
yeah,
is the reason Ferrari are losing the championship.
But I think Leclerc's still looking solid. I think his spirit's still good. Trying to play it smart, and now that he doesn't have the pressure of like having to the world championship on his neck, he could probably drive a little bit more relaxed, which I think is fine. I think this being his first official year competing for a championship is fine. So I feel optimistic. I smell a Ferrari victory, but I don't know. It's kind of a stretch. I understand, but I do kind of get the sense that like
Yeah.
they need it and they might get it.
Yeah. Well, I think they're gonna get a new engine, at least for Leclerc, but for both cars, I think.
Uh-huh.
So, they do have like a brand new
Oh,
engine in the back of their
yeah,
car. They
optimism.
can probably go there. But assuming all things are equal, I think Red Bull will win it. Assuming all things are equal, but
Yeah, they
obviously,
certainly have the advantage. They do.
yeah, I think it's advantage Red Bull on this one.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah,
And when I say advantage Red Bull, I mean Max Verstappen.
yeah, that's coming right up. Actually, Canada is one of my favorite tracks. It's one of those tracks that I can put in the game, and like I say, like I'm gonna do like just like a few laps around just to do times, and then it's like I'm just like one more lap. No, just one more lap, just one more, and I end up playing for like 40 minutes more, because it's just a pretty enjoyable track for me. I don't know. I think it's the right configuration of like speed and corners and like braking zones. It's pretty challenging and it's like kind of tricky, but in a good way. That like you can always it always seems like there's more room for you to improve. So yeah, I don't know. It's a good track. It's fun. I'm happy we're going back there.
Okay, that's it.
All right. See you next week.